one of the final questions I have for you on this show today is ultimately for any individual in today's society, it is important to be economically self-reliant. It is important to have a job that pays for whatever you wish to have in your life, that puts food on the table, that gives you a good shelter, and also for the small pleasures that you might want in your life. You need a good job. You need money that actually can help you. Now, in the case of trans people, especially, I find that attaining this economic security is a very, very difficult task, and it's very heartrending to see a lot of the difficult scenarios in which many trans people are put in because they need financial strength, financial assistance. So, how can we skill members of the transgender community? How can we skill them? What are those skills if we provide to people of the transgender community? They will have this strength, this financial succor that we need. So, what are your thoughts on this, Zainab?
So very quickly, there are multiple communities within the transgender spectrum. So if we talk about the extreme, so I'm assuming people with some education will find opportunities in the long run.
Okay.
But I'm talking about people with little or no education skills who you see on the roads, who you see in various settlements living on the margins of society. For those, there are only two ways of going ahead, because skilling for employment is something that is long term, because there has been no concerted effort to bring them to the mainstream. And also, so you have to, one is create the demand that trans people can deliver as well as any other cisgendered individual. Number one, that is at the employer level. The skill sets remain the same for any kind of unskilled labor. There may be agility, there may be responsiveness, there may be authenticity, and there may be honesty. I think there were 3 4 skill sets and communications to kind of support you. So if those are cultivated, I think a lot of people can be absorbed within the 1 to 2% quota that we have within organization for marginalized communities. The second part is about upskilling the community. So one is also creating the demand within the community. Should there be opportunities like this available, what is the readiness for you to go ahead and take it? How do you define dignity of labor? Does my standard of dignity of labor agree to your mental understanding of dignity of labor? Do what you do traditionally differs, if my understanding of what you may be doing traditionally, whether it's sex work, it's begging or dancing, does that confirm with your sense of dignity, or doesn't agree to my sense of dignity? I think we need to find that fine line between them. The third part is that uh, these are adults, Saundarya. They are all adult individuals. That means 18 and to bring in some kind of economic viability for these individuals will take a very different approach, say from someone whom you are skilling for out of school youth. To be able to give them a skillable trade is something that will require medium to long term investment and not a short term quick fix like people do. There are lots of organizations who try to do short term skilling to be able to bring them on board, but the fact is that, look at the example of Kochi Metro. They gave them jobs,
Okay.
but they didn't look at accommodation or housing. And trans people had to leave those jobs because they were not finding accommodation in that. So I think looking at the whole range of issues around them, I'm not saying every employer needs to provide accommodation, but the fact is that every employer needs to understand about just putting them into back office roles, not client facing roles, not front office roles. This is what we think they might do better, and they might. So I think it needs to evolve on a case to case basis.
Super, super. That was pretty exhaustive, all that you had to say. As the closing question of this supremely amazing interaction that we've had with you, filled with so many rich insights, I'm going to ask you a question which a lot of our friends from the LGBTQ community have asked us over the years, and that question is this: how do you do it? How have you been able to successfully transition, have a great relationship, work in a good job. How have you done it? What is the secret to it all?
Well, there is no secret to it at all. The fact is that I, I mean, I thank God and I thank my parents that they put in a sense that education does matter, and you need to persevere. You need to do certain things the right way to be able. But I think there was one thing in me which I think kind of set me apart from most of the trans people. I believe that in order to create change around, change has to come from within. I would not put that pressure on anyone else to become role model for anyone, because a lot of people say, "Oh, Zainab, you're such a role model. You're such a," and keep correcting them that please do not make me a role model. The shoes of a role model are extremely difficult to bear. The cross is very hard to carry, because if you fail, you bring down the aspirations of 100,000 people that look up to you, whether cisgendered or trans or LGBT or whatever. Uh, to break the glass ceiling, like for my women colleagues and co-workers, I think we suffer from the same kind of challenges. Breaking the mindset. What is it that I cannot do today that another DNI leader or a director in KPMG or a multinational company can do that I can do, or I can do better, is something that we need to ask us.
Okay.
If I were to continue to be a brand in myself, what is the investment I need to make within to be able to sell outside? Is the second thing. The third thing is upskilling yourself. If you think you know everything, if you think you're the cat's whiskers, you will still go out in style. But the fact is that you might not have any legacy to leave behind for people. So three things. One is upskill yourself, break the glass ceiling, and look at the competitive edge that you may have, because in order for you, because there is no one particular brand which has seen an entire life cycle of a generation, so you have to constantly upskill yourself and make yourself into a brand which makes you better than the best. It is a challenge, it is very difficult, and it's a thankless job. But at the end of the day, if you smile and think, okay, here is Zainab at 39, the only trans director in India, and perhaps the only trans director in KPMG, yes, that is an achievement. But the achievement has come after 20 long years of struggle. It did not come immediately, and it did not come as a favor from my bosses.
Yes. Oh, Zainab, may I just, applaud you and congratulate you for the simply fantastic, sharing that you did just now, and also the super inspiring life. And I'm sorry you have no choice but to be a role model. I know it's a big cross. I know it's tough and difficult, but you have done all of this. You've done all these amazing things, and it is inspirational. And I'm sure members of the LGBTQ community are going to take great inspiration from it. I, for one, like I said, this has been a spiritual conversation as far as I'm concerned. I think you touched upon things which were way, way far beyond just what is relevant to the LGBTQ, discussion that we were having. So thank you for that. And my best wishes to you. May you succeed and achieve. May you truly, whether you like it or not, be a fantastic role model that can inspire many thousands and millions. Genuine change, not only in the society and community that we live in, but also in the workplaces that we work in. Thank you so much, Zainab, and a happy Pride Month to you.
Thank you so much. I just want to end with one line. My avatar, my identity means that the diversity of opinions that I bring to the workplace doesn't only create value within the organization, doesn't only result in innovative solutions for the organization, but more importantly, it creates an impact about how others view us at the marketplace. So I think you need to stand up, you need to be visible, whatever community, whether Muslim, women, gender, ability, orientation, you need to stand up and create a mark for yourself, because in doing that, we send out an example and guidance to every other marginalized community, because maybe there's some woman who's looking up to you for motivation. Maybe some colleague thinks that if she can do it, why can't I do it? So I think You need to realize the power within yourself, and that comes to my identity. And then that's the word avatar. You have to be your own avatar. There is, like Mariah Carey says, you're my heroes. In this case, you have to be your own hero.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you, Zainab.
This is my avatar, my identity. Over the years, I've realized that each one of us brings definitive value and innovation to our workplace, and that impacts the way we are viewed and perceived at the marketplace. I implore all of you to be your true authentic self in spite of the struggles. This is your story, your avatar. Thank you.
Wasn't that just super inspirational? I had goosebumps while listening to Zainab's story. And I think it just speaks about that sheer energy, that spirit of human resilience, which comes to the fore, when we are put up against challenges, and the fortitude that we build in the process. We at Avatar, we hope to bring to you similar inspiring conversations of people who have really broken that barrier and have risen to the top of their potential. Do continue to showering us with your appreciation, all the likes, the shares. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we hope that you derive as much inspiration from these conversations as we do in putting it together for you. Happy Pride Month to you, and it's a beautiful world. Thank you.